Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic, and welcome back to the channel. And I just went to the dentist, I got a cavity filled, and I feel like a friggin' ghoul. Today we're reviewing a show that's about falling and going outside. You guessed it, Fallout. So, here we are reviewing the show. Now look, straight up, you're seeing some, not my gameplay, I didn't have time, I was too busy dying. But the, the actual, show itself, right? I did not see it on streaming. I got the Blu-ray, but I was like, all right, I like Bethesda. I really wanted to love Starfield, but we know how that turned out. Look, if they made Starfield run better, it didn't perform like a potato on crack, I'd probably play it more. But anyway, Skyrim's great. I like the Elder Scrolls. I've always enjoyed Fallout. I never really played a lot of them except for Fallout 4. But I do like this franchise, and I like this world that they kind of set up. I know they didn't make the first two or whatever, they bought it, but you know what I mean. Bethesda pretty much made Fallout, quote unquote. So, going into the show, I was like, oh, it looks cool, and then I'm like, oh, people like it, and I'm like, oh, it's actually, like, good. Like, when I watched it, I was like, wow. Like, I knew it would be good, but I didn't know it would be, this good. Like, we get, obviously we get Lucy McLean, or McLean, whatever, I think it's McLean. We got her dad, we got, obviously, the Ghoul, we got Maximus, and, of course, Dogmeat, and a few other characters in there as well. But this is a show that pretty much wrecked my expectations, right? I genuinely did not expect this to be that good. Now, obviously, the acting is freaking great from everyone. It's funny to see Todd Howard's name on a TV show because it just works, but it worked. Like somehow against all odds, this show freaking rocked. Now, why did it rock? Right? I mean, obviously, like I said, the acting is great. What's her face? I don't know. Ella Purnell. She's good as Lucy. Obviously, I believe Aaron Moten. I believe he played Maximus. You get Walter Goggles, whatever, playing the Ghoul, who was last seen from my experience in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But yeah, I think, everyone here does a really good job. The acting is great, even from, like, the scientists, the other people in the Enclave or whatever, the people in the Brotherhood. They all look, they're good. Moldaver, which it's a very effing weird name. I thought it was a bulldozer for a minute, but no, it's a woman. And I think she's great. Lucy's dad is really good. Again, like the performances in this show really kind of blew me away. Like I knew they'd be good, but I didn't know. Like there's some moments where even Maximus. Maximus, he's a weird looking dude. I think he would be a good replacement for Kang or Finn if John Boyega's stops being a turd. But I think that he's good, but he has this face where he looks genuinely pissed off all the time, and I think that is a very good look for this kind of universe, right? Like, because nothing ever goes right for any of these characters, right? Lucy's, in this vault, right? And she's kind of, I'm not going to ruin the whole show, but Lucy's kind of brought up in this vault where, no one swears, there's no violence, there's no, anything bad or negative or raunchy or whatever, it's pretty much like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse up in this thing, and it's very cool because it's a stark contrast between what Lucy grew up in this vault where, you got looks like the effing volume, green screen looking sky or whatever, and you get all these crazy, things happening. And then in contrast to that, you have Maximus, who's in the Brotherhood, and he's kind of going crazy, and he's getting beat up by all the people, and he kind of, ends up working with the Squire and all that, and he gets the power armor and all that, and I think it's a really cool aspect that you're kind of, switching between these different scenarios in the show, between Lucy, Maximus, the Ghoul, Walter Goggins' character. Dogmeat kind of shows up at the very end, obviously, and he does call him Dogmeat, so that was actually kind of cool. Now, this show is canon. I believe, from what I've been hearing, it takes place after Fallout 4. I believe it's like the newest thing in the lore and the timeline or whatever, but I think it really works, as far as what story they're trying to tell. It works, obviously, not to quote Todd Howard, but it does. Like, everything kind of comes together really great. And, of course, the acting's great. The writing is really good. Nothing woke, nothing crazy weird about it. No, political messaging from left or right, really. I mean, there might be a sprinkle here or there, but, the whole idea is war never changes, right? It's about greed. It's about hypocrisy. It's about, damnation and all the bad stuff, right? So you kind of get past that, and, like I said, it's a very different contrast going from Lucy's world to Maximus's world and even, the Ghoul's world. And just kind of, seeing those backstories and different flashbacks of before he was the Ghoul and, how these things kind of shape up and take place in relation to how the bombs dropped and what kind of what could have prevented them and what ultimately didn't. And I think it's a really unique aspect to kind of, look at. Obviously, the action is badass as heck. The action, there, my DVD fell. The action's really good. I think that, obviously the cinematography is really great. The choreography is incredible. The gore, this is an adult show, obviously like the games. I'm glad they didn't pull a freaking Borderlands. Now, look, I don't hate that Borderlands movie. I'm going to be straight up. I reviewed it. I don't hate it. It's not great, but I don't hate it. But one thing I do hate is that they made it PG-13. The games are rated M, which means you have to be, an M-rated game is pretty much an MA-rated show or an R-rated film, right? It's kind of the same thing. So it was always baffling when Borderlands was PG-13, because I'm like, I get it. When you're PG-13, you make more money, or even though it made no money, their idea was, hey, well, we might make more money with this. That didn't effing work, but, they tried. But yeah, I think, going with the MA rating, or whatever, I believe it was MA, yeah, really worked, seeing obviously, look, I'm not like a gore crazy person, right? I don't love seeing blood and guts and shit, but I've seen my fair share of Scream and Evil Dead. I've seen gore in movies, right? It doesn't bother me because I'm one of those weirdos that's like, oh, I like how they filmed that, or oh, that's a really good shot, and other people would be barfing on the floor, and I'm like, oh wow, that's actually really well thought of. Oh, nice practical elements there. Wow, nice cinematography on that rib cage explosion. And other people are just, dying. But, like I said, I'm 26. I'm able to kind of tell myself, hey, this is fake. And, if I saw any of that, for real, I'd effing die. But in, real in movies and games or whatnot, or shows, it doesn't bother me. But it looks good, like the gore, the practical effects, heads getting squished and shit. I mean, it's pretty gnarly at times. And I think, people getting shot in the leg or whatever, and bones are exposed. It's pretty graphic. Lucy literally cuts the head off that one guy. I mean, you don't see it. It, cuts or whatever. I think it's at the end of one of the episodes, but, it's still implied. But yeah, it's a pretty gruesome show. Now, it's not all gruesome. I think that this show kind of nails a good balance between being really bloody and gory and adult. They swear, and there's, a few, it's not like a sex show, but, there's one sex scene that lasts like 5 seconds. So, there are some adult elements, but it also has, jokes that are funny that do not require a swear word in them to be funny, or like, you look at like the Vault people, and a lot of the comedy in the Vault comes from that, again, that contrast between Maximus being like, you're a fucking idiot, and the guy that Maximus ends up killing that weird creature and taking his armor, that guy's hitting the F word like nothing. And then you go to the next scene and, Lucy's over there or whatever's going on in the Vault, Lucy's brother or whatever, and they're like, oh, wow, I'm really glad you gave me that input. Thank you. I hope you have a great day. And wow, I like your suit. That's a very nice chair you got there. Wow, I hope you have a great day. It's like, it's completely effing different, and it's kind of funny. But it shows, there are these, Lucy has these morals and these values that she grew up with, and, she, throughout season 1, she's kind of seeing that those morals, and, it still matters, and it's still applicable, but up on the wasteland of the real world, so to speak, it's pretty much Mad Max on steroids. I mean, it is not looking good for her. And she, over the course of the season, she's kind of noticing and seeing that, and she's able to go, oh, okie dokie, and then she has her final okie dokie. There's a little arc there, I guess, but even like when she swears for the first time or does something really jacked up, like cut the head off a guy to bring to Moldaver for her dad or whatever she ends up doing, it feels like she's violating her rights in a way. It's like when effing what's his face, when U.S. Agent or whatever, John Walker killed that guy with Captain America's shield in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. It was like an oh shit moment. It's like, oh geez, like that's like, seeing the blood on the shield. It's almost like a sacrilegious thing, It's like when Jesus got all pissed off when they were doing something with taxes and he was flipping tables and whatever. It feels like that. Oh my God, you should not be doing and or seeing this kind of thing. And there's some moments like that with Lucy, and I think that's kind of cool. Again, seeing the ghoul and how the ghoul is cool and how he ended up, hitting the pool. I guess he did a good job with that. I think obviously the actor's really good. And they kind of, showcase his, I don't want to say descent, but his kind of evolution of finding things out about Vault-Tec and, without spoiling it, obviously. what ends up happening there, and I thought that was kind of interesting as well. Obviously, like I said, the CGI also, like, it's pretty freaking great. You know what I mean? There's one or two shots where you can tell the power armor or whatever is kind of fake or whatever's going on, but I think for the most part, you know, they really kind of nailed that aspect of yeah, like the creatures, obviously the ghouls' makeup and prosthetics are, you know, prosthetics. It's not CGI for the most part. I believe it was all practical. So that must have been fun for him to do every day. But I think that it was cool to, you know, see like a Fallout show that doesn't look like trash. You know, like I knew it wouldn't, but it's just weird to see like a video game company make a movie. And I know they did that with Sonic, did it with Mario. They're making a live action Zelda. You know, they did it with Detective Pikachu and Assassin's Creed, and you know all this stuff I enjoyed. I liked Assassin's Creed. I don't care. Screw it. I liked it. I don't care. But you know, this one really kind of felt like, you know, the budget was really there. Like this was one of those moments where it was like Detective Pikachu and the Sonic films and Mario for me, where it was like, wow, they're really trying. Like Assassin's Creed, you could tell they were trying. No one liked it, of course, but I enjoyed it. But you know, this one really, really, really felt like, yeah, we're really kind of going with it, and we really want this to be something big and exciting and fresh and cool, and it really effing worked. I mean, really, I was genuinely blown away. Now, again, there's a lot of plot points, right? You get the Lucy stuff, you get the Maximus stuff, you get the Brotherhood of Steel and all that, you get the Ghoul, you get Moldaver and her dad, you get the vaults with Leslie Uggams' character and Uggams, whatever, and Lucy's brother, and like that stuff, you know, it could easily be confusing, right? Like it could easily fall into the trap of what the fudge is going on? Who's this? Why are they doing that? Why aren't we? I don't care about this. I just want to see Lucy and Maximus or whatever, you know. And thankfully, all these plot points really kind of worked, and they all came together really well. Obviously, without spoiling it, you know, they are making a season 2. I pretty much confirmed, all but confirmed. It probably is confirmed. They're going to New Vegas, which is the game I haven't played. I haven't even beaten Fallout 4. Bethesda games are great, but they're so goddamn big. I'm working on Assassin's Creed Shadows now, so I gotta, you know, I'll get to them. Don't worry. But I have played I don't know, 50 some hours of Fallout 4 since I got it a long time ago, and yeah, it's great. I love it, but you know, playing on my Series X is even better with mods, you know, so it looks and runs pretty good too. But it's cool to see that, yeah, like this is a big swing, and it was a hit, you know. I mean, you put the budget, you put the time and effort in, and look at that, you get a good freaking show, you know what I mean? Wow, who would have thought? But no, it's cool. I mean, like I said, we're getting season 2, but without spoiling it, like I said, it does kind of end off on a cliffhanger for a lot of the plot points. Not much in this show is pretty wrapped up. There's one or two things, but there's a lot of stuff in episode 8 where it's like, oh, okay, he's gone, and she's doing this with him, and he's doing that with him, and she's doing that with her, and, you know, there's all this stuff kind of, you know, going into a season 2, and obviously, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a massive fan of a million effing plot points in season 1, because, you know, if this doesn't get a season 2, you're effed. You know, like, you spend all this time, all these resources, all these man hours, and whatever, making a show, and then you're going to end it on a note where it's, oh, what happens next? I don't know, it got canceled. You know, you look at the original Teen Titans animated show, you look at the new iCarly thing, look at frickin' The Acolyte. Again, that's one of my favorite Star Wars shows. You know this. If you know me, I love The Acolyte. I would I don't know, do Order 66 for a season 2. I even want a season 2 of Skeleton Crew. I want a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, but you know, those haven't been quote-unquote canceled yet. You know, Acolyte got canceled, and we might be getting a revival. I don't know. I just want to see, even if we get it in the form of a comic book or a novel, I'm down with that. But, you know, there are moments in the Acolyte, without spoiling it, where I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? I don't know. We canceled it. F you, I guess. You know, so it's like, that's kind of stupid. So I'm glad that they are making a season 2, and they're actually, you know, developing it and making it. And actually, you know, I'm going to see it eventually. I don't know if I'm going to see it on wherever this was, Prime or whatever they put it on. I'll probably just get the Blu-ray again, but I enjoyed it, man. I really did. I mean, as far as negatives, episode 8 could be a little bit confusing, where like there's a MacGuffin and there's like some blue shush or blue powder, whatever you want to call it, that Moldaver needs to head for, and you know, Lucy's mom is whatever. And there's a few moments where I'm like, you're kind of losing me a bit here. You know, like, I was paying attention, I swear to God, and you're kind of losing me. But that's nothing a quick Google fix. You know, like I say, especially with Star Wars, if you don't understand something, don't hate it. Look it up, do your research, read a book, whatever you got to effing do, especially for Star Wars. As you know, media literacy has gone down the pooper, and people do not want to think critically anymore. They I don't get that. This movie sucks. You know, like, no, I was like, wait a minute, what's this for? And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, I get it, okay, you know, so little moments like that. And I think that, you know, that could, for some people, juggling all the, you know, plot points could be a little bit of a stretch, I guess. But if you like the Fallout games, if you played them, if you even, you know, I've only played Fallout 4 for like 50 some whatever hours, but I still know enough about the lore to understand what was going on. You know, I thought it was a very faithful adaptation. It is canon, which is also, that's always a good thing when something's officially a part of something. It's not just a random, you know, thing that is fan fiction or whatever. You know, it's actually part of the game series, much like how the Assassin's Creed film is part of the Assassin's Creed game series, which is cool, kind of like that, right? And I think that's actually a really good thing to do, because it kind of, you know, makes people care more, I guess, in a weird way. You know, like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of, like, oh, you know, like, I love Star Wars canon. I really know nothing about Star Wars Legends, which now is, I mean, I hope I don't, I'm probably going to piss someone off by saying this, but Star Wars Legends is fan fiction at this point. That's what it is. It's not official canon. It's pretty much fan fiction. Not to say that's bad. That's not a bad thing at all. I'm just stating that's what it is, right? Like, it's not official canon. It's not officially the lore. That's not to say it's bad. It's just that, you know, like I said, it is what it is. But it's kind of like that. For some people, if something isn't canon, it's automatically not worth seeing, right? We're in this age where everything has to be connected to something. And obviously the Marvel multiverse kind of made that popular too, but I am glad this is part of it. And I think that, you know, we're going to be getting these characters coming back. We're hopefully going to see, you know, the Season 2 finish and get that out. And maybe even Season 3. I don't know how, you know, long they plan on doing this, but I'm excited to see where this goes, man. I really freaking am. Like I said, I was really scratching my head for negatives. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, the CGI was really good. The writing's good. The acting's good. You know, it's weird, but that's the point. You know what I mean? It's not like Mad Max weird or like Borderlands weird, where it's like random screaming and stuff. Like, it's weird, but not to like, oh, you need to be like an art person to get it. You know what I mean? It's not like that kind of weird. And I think it worked. Like I said, it's funny. It's intense, it's scary, it's sad, it's action-packed, it makes you think, it's got really good character arcs, it makes you care about the world more, it makes you care about these characters, and it's not just, oh yeah, the ghoul, yeah, he looks cool, and, you know, he's got the cool cowboy outfit, but that's it. No, like, I cared about him as a character, thanks to knowing what he was like before that, or even how he is during being the ghoul, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, the shots are really great, the CGI is good, the lighting's good. Like I said, they really, really wanted to make this a big deal and make this not feel like a cheap thing. They really went all out. And I think that really shows. Fallout is a very good show. I was expecting good things, but I wasn't expecting this level of quality. And yeah, man, I'm effing down for Season 2. I'm pumped. I can't wait to see where this goes. Again, a lot of these cliffhangers, a lot of things kind of left on the drawing board to see where this can get picked up for Season 2. Obviously, we are getting that, so that's a good thing. I don't know when. I'm assuming either this year or sometime next year. I know they're filming it now, but yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm excited to see where this goes. Don't spoil it in the comments, though. You know, I tried not to give away anything too crazy. I know this is not an old show, but it came out last year or whatever, and, you know, if you really wanted to see it, you probably would have by now, but still, don't be a turd and spoil things in the comments. But tell me down below, without spoiling it, what you thought about the Fallout show. What are your thoughts? What are your dislikes and likes? And what's your favorite Fallout game? Again, I only played Fallout 4, but I own Fallout 3, New Vegas, and, of course, you know, 4. I don't have 76. I'm not getting that. That's online only. I'm not doing that. But I am excited to see where the next Fallout 5 goes or whatever they're doing. I'm even excited for Elder Scrolls. You know, I know Todd Howard was saying, oh, maybe we'll make an Elder Scrolls show. If you can make it work, I mean, that could be the effing next, you know, that could be what Rings of Power or whatever wanted to be, right? Like, if they play their cards right, an Elder Scrolls show could be as big as Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I'm not even kidding. Like, the lore in this game series is effing huge, and there's so many potential. You know, the Elder Scrolls lore basically dwarves or, you know, makes Fallout lore look like nothing. So I think that you can really, really delve into that. And, you know, if they make it with the same amount of care and attention that they made the Fallout show, I think it'll be a big freaking hit. I think they're going to, you know, really, really do a good job with that. But, yeah, let me know in the comments again what are your thoughts on this show and what's your favorite Fallout game. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe if you're new. It takes 1 second. It's free. Helps your boy out. I've tried to get to 2,000 before I die of old age. I'm 26. We got at least 5 years. So, yeah, we'll have to see how this goes. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to go take some, I don't know, whatever drug they do for my teeth. And I'll try not to turn into a ghoul. If I do, you know, whatever. I don't use my nose anyway. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.